Okay, now can I talk? Would somebody say something?
Hello, Sue. How are you?
Oh, good, thank you. I didn't have any audio, so I finally figured it out and got it on. So I'm wonderful. How about you?
Good, good. Thank you. Just give me one more second.
Mhm.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So you ready to learn about Azamara today?
Yes,
Excellent. Have you been in Azamara before?
no.
What have you
I've
been?
tried now. It'll be 3 times, but it
Oh,
keeps getting canceled.
Oh. Yeah, I feel your pain.
Mhm.
I feel your pain. Imagine us here at the travel agency having to have, having to have thousands of these. Thousands of these. But it's okay. They'll be back soon enough. Soon enough. We got Marianne, and we got Donald, and we got Bruce. People are gonna start logging in within the next few minutes. So where are you at?
I'm in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia, right on the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, beautiful. How's the weather up there today?
It's kind of cool and cloudy, but not raining.
Okay, that's good. That's good. See, it's during the summer days that I miss the Northeast. This down here, it's about to get close to 90 degrees today or something. It's just
And where are you, Carlos?
Miami.
Miami? Okay.
In Miami, just like Mr. Garcia, who just joined us.
Mhm.
Oh, you gotta unmute, my friend.
Hi.
How's it going?
Going good.
Hey, Lionel, you're losing weight?
Yes, I am.
Seriously, though, like a lot of weight.
I don't think it's that much, but I appreciate it. Thank you. This is because you're seeing it from here up. You know, if I stand back, you'll see a little bit more.
The belly, yeah. That's the hard part, you know. Yeah, that's where it gets. That's where it gets.
My wife and I joke that maybe one of these medical spas would take like a 2-for-1.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Those medical spas don't open the restaurants up until like 7:30. That's too late for you, so I don't know.
What's funny is that nobody else really knows this, but I'll explain. Carlos calls me at 5 o'clock on a Friday, and I'm on my way to a restaurant to have the early bird special. But really not to get the early bird special, that I have 2 young kids, a 5 and a 7-year-old, then it just makes most sense where we're creating less chaos for other guests, and on top of that, we get them home at a decent time and put them to bed, and then we could still have a nice night.
It's okay. I'm not judging. Just Cubanito coffee while we get started.
I could use one of those.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting a nice crowd here. Hello, Pierre, Tom, Judith, Robert. How are you? Tom, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And Robert, nice to have you too. Thank you for joining us today. Robert, you know your preferred advisor, Tom, just had a baby. I'm not sure if you knew. Not sure if you're listening. There you go. That's it. There you go. So, Lionel, I was just sharing with Robert Dice, who's been doing business with Tom for many years, that Tom just had a baby.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like 4 days ago.
Wow, is this his first?
Yeah, yeah.
So great.
They had a beautiful baby boy.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Nice. So are you giving him paternity leave, or does he have to come back to work like tomorrow?
I don't, Tom is an interesting character. He is probably the only person I would not even mention the policy because
What's this? I don't think.
yeah. Hello, Joan. How are you? How you all doing? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute people as you come in, and then we're gonna get started very soon. We're starting to get a few people joining, so I'll spare you the Tom story for later. But we got a few people already joining. We are expecting about 40 people to join us today, and what's going to happen today is we have a lot to talk about because this is the first Zoom event that we have with Azamara, where we're actually going to be able to share with you guys some really good news, but most importantly, some accurate news, right? Because up until now, a lot of the questions that were being asked had a, well, I don't know answer, or, well, I cannot share that with you yet answer. And so now, thankfully, Lionel has a lot more answers to share with us, and we're going to have an opportunity to really understand what is Azamara doing and what's in the near future for Azamara, including some very special announcements Azamara made not too long ago about some new hardware, and Lionel's going to share that with us as well. And so the logistics of the day are going to be as follow. We are going to allow people to kind of chime in for the next couple minutes. All right. So by around 3:04, 3:05, we're going to officially get started. Okay. For those that are just joining in, Lionel, who you'll see here on the screen with a nice, beautiful Azamara ship background, you're going to see next to his name, it says Azamara. And then next to our names, you're going to start seeing Denise over here, our great marketing manager is, there you go. She's going to be changing our names to have the dash luxury cruise connection so that you see who belongs to luxury cruise connections and who's with Azamara and who is a guest. And so the idea is just for those that know who I am or know who we are, Luxury Cruise Connections is a full-fledged luxury travel cruise agency focused on cruises. We are here to provide incredible travel planning experiences, and we partner up with the best of the industry, which are a select group of luxury cruises, all right, or upper premium to luxury cruises, and together we make travel dreams come true. And so Azamara is one of our greatest partners. We've been doing business for a long, long time, and I'm not gonna tout my own my own horn. I'll let Lionel do that for me. But I'll do a little bit of an endorsement here on Azamara because we've been doing business for so long, and it's one of those products that came to the market many years ago with a very low marketing budget, but that really has made a name for themselves because of the experience they deliver, and just the incredible results and the incredible just the incredible delivery that they have on board and the experiences that that guests have in terms of service, in terms of destination, in terms of just what happens on board. And as Azamara and Luxury Cruise Connections, we share a very similar belief in terms of what we want that customer experience to be. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we do so much business together. And so we're here today because, of course, with everything that has happened in our industry, Sue was telling us a few minutes ago how she's been trying to get on an Azamara ship for a long time now, but unfortunately her ship, her itineraries have been getting canceled and canceled. And so finally we're here to talk about, some true facts and some true, good news that we now can share with everybody on Azamara's return to sail, dates, protocols, like I was saying, some new hardware that they have Azamara has going on. And so Lionel's going to put up a presentation, a short presentation, because we think that it's important for for him to kind of explain in detail, not only about the product itself, right? The product is important, but also, what that return to sale is going to look like and what Azamara stands for, right? For those that know Azamara, for those that have been in Azamara, some of this will be like, yep, that's right. But for those that haven't, it'll give you a really good idea on if you're intending on going to Azamara, on what you're going to get, and if you haven't, then hopefully you will want to, because it's certainly an incredible cruise line, especially if you are very destination oriented, right? And that's kind of what goes behind the Azamara core values. And so we have some very special promotion as well, or I don't want to call it promotion, but a very special gift for you guys, those that are joining and those that are going to listen to the recording. There is an up to $500 shipboard credit, $500 for suites and $400 for verandas and so forth, that you guys are going to be able to take advantage of for the next 2 weeks when you book in Azamara through Luxury Cruise Connections, meaning through us. Throughout this event, you guys are going to probably be approached by some of our advisors who are on this meeting, and you'll see them because you'll see dash Luxury Cruise Connections next to their name, and they're just going to approach you and say hi, introduce themselves, and if you have any particular question, they will be able to answer them for you. Also, as we already have a few more people in the event already, let me just give you some basic housekeeping, I guess, information here. The idea is we are going to get started with our presentation. Lionel is going to be explaining a lot about what he has to talk about. And as you guys have questions, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions as he's presenting, please go ahead and type those questions on this chat box where I'm going to just say hello. And so this is where you will type those questions, and then I will make sure we read all those questions at the end and we answer every single one of them. I also received some questions via email, so I will kind of go back and forth between the questions I have in the email and the questions that you guys are asking on this chat. And at the end, we're going to open up the mics so that you can ask some live questions as well. You all are in the process of making decisions. You all are in the process of, sorry, I know that I broke up there for a second. You're all in the process of trying to understand whether or not, you're ready to cruise or when you're ready to cruise. Also, as we get started and as the presentation goes, or as Lionel is running the presentation, Denise is going to push some questions, some poll questions on your screens for you guys to give us a little bit of an idea of who you are, who's joining us today, and hopefully we'll be able to get a good understanding of who's joining us today and answer some questions based on that as well. I normally leave all the questions for the end. But Scott is, I think Scott is going to give us a really good segue to kind of get started with our presentation, as he wants to know what's the expected impact of the sale of Azamara or the change of company. And so with that, I'm going to let Lionel take it away. And I'm going to do a brief introduction. Let me kind of start with saying thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We are extremely excited about today and being able to share with all of you all these amazing news about Azamara. I am Carlos Sedri. I'm the CEO of Luxury Cruise Connections, full-fledged luxury cruise agency, focused on making clients happy. That's literally all we want to do all day. And with me, we have Mr. Lionel Garcia. Lionel is our guardian angel when it comes to Azamara. But Lionel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself properly and then take it away.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Luxury Cruise Connection. And thank you all who are attending today for this really exciting presentation. I know I was on with some of you just a few weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And there wasn't enough for me to share, but I'm excited that we now have much more that we can share about how and when we will resume service. But I love the introduction, Carlos. You did fantastic in introducing, and even, by the way, I have to tell you, buying some time. Listen, 7 minutes of just going at it. Thank you very much. I do want to also give an endorsement prior to the beginning of the conversation of Luxury Cruise Connection. I know today you came to learn about Azamara, and I am so appreciative of that. But I want you to know, coming from a cruise supplier, that your decision to plan and execute your next vacation with Luxury Cruise Connection is probably the smartest investment you can make, because their team of professional advisors take your two biggest and greatest assets, your time and your money, and curate what will eventually become your best vacation ever, or the best vacation that you can experience. So if it happens to be with Azamara, it would be my pleasure to serve you and have you as a customer. But if it is not, that's okay. That's why you go to the fantastic team at Luxury Cruise Connection, to assist you make the best decision with your time and your money. So that's my little endorsement on that. And I'm going to get started here with sharing my screen. And give me one moment.
Thank you very much, Lionel, for that.
You're welcome.
It's a great partnership, that's for sure.
And Scott, don't worry, we will answer your question, okay?
I think the answer to that question is actually incredible news. So I'm excited about that.
All right. I don't know if you know this, but I am working from home, so I'm going to step 1 second away and lock my door, because my kids are going to be coming home from school here in a second. So give me one moment.
That's the beauty of this new era, right? I mean,
Yeah. So, new horizons, exploring new horizons with Azamara. What is happening with Azamara? We have had exciting developments with our brand since January. I know this because on my birthday, January 18th, I had an emergency conference call with the announcement that Azamara, the Royal Caribbean Group, had put in motion the steps to sell Azamara. As you can imagine, the feeling was incredibly sad and sobering. At the time, I had 19 years of service with the Royal Caribbean family, and it was a moment that really shook me. But I was guaranteed and assured by my leader, Carol Cabezas, that nothing was going to change, and that these new owners, who are known as Sycamore Partners, were acquiring Azamara to grow and expand the brand and make the brand everything that it's always wanted to be, but couldn't be because it was if you will, the stepsister within the family of the Royal Caribbean family. So within 10 days of the announcement of the soon-to-be purchased Azamara, Sycamore announced the acquisition of a fourth ship. And I'm going to cover all of that here in a second, but let's talk first about Sycamore. Who are they? They are a private equity firm that's been in business for quite some time. They specialize in the retail and consumer segment of the market. You could recognize some of their brands. I know myself, I love shopping at Express. My wife goes to the Limited, and I do get office supplies at Staples, which is kind of neat that I've been supporting my investor even without even knowing that they were going to be my future investor. But they have decided to invest now in the leisure segment and hotel segment through cruise, and they've invested with Azamara. And I don't know if any of you are investors or part-time investors or full-time investors, but if there's one thing you know about investing is you want to buy when it's cheap and sell when it's high. You never want to buy when it's high. And I think there is no surprise that the entire cruise industry is pretty much at the floor of where it's ever been in its history. And so Sycamore, with their money, were able to make an investment, and they acquired Azamara for $201 million, which may sound like a lot of money to most of us normal people, but $201 million to acquire 3 ships and a cruise line and all of their employees and intellectual property is a gift. So they've decided to invest in us because it was such a great investment. They also were able to acquire a 4th ship, which we'll talk about here in a second. And the plan is to only continue to build on the model and the philosophy that Azamara has created successfully over the last 13 years. One of the things that really assured us this is that they maintained the leadership team in place. In addition to the leadership team staying, they've also maintained all of its employees. So our call center is exactly the same. Our officers are still the same on the ships. Our crew, anyone who's wanted to come back, they are welcome back. And any of these shoreside employees that were in existence with the previous owners, with Royal Caribbean Group, they wanted to move over with Azamara, they were able to move over with Azamara. And the biggest noise they made was elevating the position of Carol Cabezas, who was our Chief Operating Officer. She is now the president of our brand. And the new face that you see down below, you've probably seen before with another company. He was the head of Holland America Group, very well respected, has a fantastic resume in industry, resume with history in HR and others, but his most recently involvement in the cruise business was with Holland America, and he was advising Sycamore as a contractor. And then because of his involvement in advising Sycamore to get into the cruise business, they've assigned him as executive chairman of Azamara. So remember that fourth ship I mentioned? Here it is. So if you are a cruise junkie like I am, you will know and recognize that this is the Pacific Princess. For those of you who are not familiar with the Pacific Princess, she is the third of a collection of ships that Renaissance had. They had 8 identical vessels. Azamara currently owns now 4, but it was 3, the Journey, the Quest, and the Pursuit, the R6, the R7, and the R8. And now we own the R3, which is the Pacific Princess. And adding the Onward to our fleet is really allowing us to add 33% more capacity, allowing us to reach more places, spend more time in port. And on top of that, in my opinion, is to be able to expand this destination immersive culture of experiencing vacations, the only way Azamara knows how to do, to now even more people because we have more inventory. So the next question you're going to ask is, when does the Onward start cruising? Well, you're going to be able to buy your place on the Onward beginning June of this year, and you will be able to sail on the Onward beginning summer of 2022 in Europe. All right, so let's talk about our ships and what's happening with our ships and where they are today. We have 3 ships currently in Glasgow awaiting the resumption of service, and we have the Onward in Civitavecchia in Rome awaiting her dry dock. Now, this is the part that is a little bit sad, but also a lot of it exciting. The sad part is that Azamara has decided to suspend more itineraries. So maybe some of you were impacted by our recent suspension, and that is a tremendous shame, and I'm sorry that we've had to do that. But sadly, the travel restrictions and the changes happening around the world are too great that it didn't make sense to schedule something and then have to cancel it later. So we've suspended the Quest itineraries till October 2nd. We've suspended the Journeys itineraries till October 13th. And we've suspended the Pursuits itineraries until September 28th. But in doing so, we were able to introduce 6 new itineraries, beginning with the Quest, August 28th, round trip Athens. So we will resume service. We've been given permission from the Minister of Tourism and the country of Greece to allow us to resume service in Greece. And I'm excited to tell you that these itineraries will open on Friday. So they're not open yet. They will open on Friday. And these are 5 identical itineraries. The 6th one is slightly different. It's still a Greek intensive itinerary. As you can see them listed here, they're going to be round trip Athens, the first 5, with only 1 day at sea. And then October 2nd, this one's really special because it ends in Rome, and it has a little bit of Italy and a little bit of Greece. So it's really a fantastic, fantastic itinerary. But of course, we can't resume cruising without it being healthy and safe to do so. So what we've been able to do is implement our health and safety protocols, and I'll cover that here in a little bit, but essentially we are requiring 100% vaccination of all of our guests 18 and up, and 100% vaccination of all of our crew. And for any of our guests looking to travel on these itineraries, there will be a negative PCR test have to be taken 72 hours prior to arrival in Greece. In addition, even though they've been vaccinated, they still need to have this negative PCR test prior to the arrival in Greece, and a passenger locator form needs to be completed. And this essentially shows Greece where you're going to be, who's taking you there, and when you're leaving, so they can track you and know what your stay is while you're in Greece. So are you guys excited about this? I can't really see all the faces. I only see 4, but the 4 people I am seeing are nodding their head. I'm incredibly excited, and Friday is the big day. I can tell you more news is going to come between now and Friday as far as what to know about it, but one thing I will tell you, they're going to be very well priced. There's going to be a lot of incentives, including, I can share with you now, it's going to be part of our BOGO 60, which we'll talk about toward the end of the presentation. If you have to travel solo or want to travel solo, it's going to be on 125% single supplement, which is going to be awesome. And then there's even another add-on, which they haven't shared with me yet, but I understand it's going to be quite the rich offer. So look forward to that. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Friday on the 14th, it will open. So what is the healthy return to sail protocols? Well, last week we trained all of our travel advisors and travel professionals nationwide on what our protocols are going to be. And yesterday we sent out an email communication and sent it out to the public, sent it out to the world. We've published it now on our webpage. And on top of that, we've sent emails to all of our past guests with what the healthy return to sailing protocols are going to be, because there's no sense of resuming service if we then have to suspend services again. So we've taken the necessary steps, and one of the biggest steps that we've taken is to mandate 100% vaccination of our guests and our crew. And we believe that that is one of the safest ways to resume service. Some other changes that I can share with you, and we could get into the nitty gritty if we need to toward the end in the Q&A, is that masks will still be required on board. When physical distancing is not going to be permitted or not permissible, we will have, there will be the mask requirement. And at this point today, shore excursions will still be required to be purchased through the cruise line to ensure the safety and health of our guests and our crew and our vessel. Now, that one in particular might be changing, because you could argue that if the entire vessel is vaccinated, why would you be required to take a shore excursion through the cruise line? So we hear your sentiment. We're fighting this as well, but it's not 100% up to us. We are working with the CDC and CLIA to identify what opportunities exist with that specific protocol.
Same thing with the masks on board the ship. That could also be something that between now and then changes based on so many guidelines or protocols that might be put in place by CLIA or CDC. Lionel, quick question. I know some people might be wondering. So although Azamara was sold to Sycamore Partners, we're still showing a Royal Caribbean Group slide on healthy return to sail protocols and so forth. So can you explain that real quick? I'm sure people are wondering.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So all of this started last year before we were sold. There was a healthy return to sail panel of industry professionals and medical professionals from around the world that were put together by Royal Caribbean Group, which consisted of Azamara and Silversea and Celebrity, as well as a group of professionals put together by NCLH, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. And together, there was a lot of meetings and studies and research done to find the best and healthiest way to return to service. In doing so, they really focused on specializing in these 5 areas of focus, which you see listed here. But this was also before the quick and effective rollout of vaccines across the country and around the world. So due to the vaccines, there was a little bit of a delay in our new protocols, because the implementation of vaccines and the requirement of vaccines really then changes, or should change, some of the things being done. But for example, sanitation, we can go into the details of that. Every railing and area that is a high touch area will be sanitized every 2 hours. rooms are going to be sprayed down at least every 3 days with electrostatic sprays. We have upgraded our HVAC systems with green lights and other UV lights and other things to make sure to kill. I think it's like 99.1% of any foreign virus or disease that comes through will be killed immediately. So these are all things that have been put in place, and we have details on all of these on our website, and I know that your team at LCC can also share that with you. I saw that I was slowing down there. Carlos, did you guys catch all that?
Yeah, we did. Absolutely.
Okay. So the last thing we'll talk about that I want to make sure that you know that we have is we've implemented a program to help you feel confident about making that investment with your next vacation with Azamara. We've implemented a program called Cruise with Confidence. This program gives you the flexibility to cancel for any reason, not COVID related necessarily, any reason, and receive 100% of what you paid in the form of a future cruise voucher. The other side of this is maybe you're one of those customers that really believe we're going to lower our prices as the cruise gets closer. Well, Cruise with Confidence will secure for you the best price, best offer. You agree with me that today more than ever, we need some connecting. Since this pandemic, all that's happened to our country and to our world is that we've been divided, we've been separated, we've been held hostage in our own homes. Now more than ever, connecting is necessary, and as human beings, we're intended to connect. And I think that that's what makes Azamara so beautiful in the delivery of that, is that because we can take you to these destinations, because we can travel together, and because we spend so much time in port, you can now connect, not just with other people and other cultures and new experiences, but also within yourself. So if you ask me to describe Azamara to you, I would say that we are a land vacation company that uses floating hotels. So I think you heard me right. I know you're probably wondering, why did he just call himself a land vacation company when he's a cruise line? But the reason why I say that we are a land vacation company that uses floating hotels is because on a given 10-night cruise, on average, Azamara spends and dedicates 8 nights to the destination. So if you love days at sea, we may not be the right product for you. But if you want to spend more time in port, then I think we might just be that next best vacation option for you. Another way that we separate ourselves in this very busy market of all kinds of other brands is the fact that we've introduced this new concept of cruising called country intensive voyages. This is a voyage that dedicates itself just to delivering one country. So typically, if you were looking to book a vacation to France, Italy, Ireland, Spain, Croatia, Japan, South Africa, Greece even, you might have reached out to the fantastic team at Luxury Cruise Connection to ask them to plan a land vacation for you because you didn't know another way to see that destination and only see that destination. But with Azamara, we've identified over 15 different countries and have 40 plus voyages, all dedicated to delivering one country. How cool is that? Because guess what? Now you get to unpack and pack only one time, instead of having to do this again and again if you did a land vacation. So here are some examples. This is by far not all of them because I would be boring you, but I just wanted to really take a collection of some of the most popular ones. So here's an Iceland intensive. It's a 9-night program with only 2 days at sea, 2 late nights and 2 overnights. And you can argue that you're covering all of Iceland. Or we have an Italy intensive. This one only has 1 day at sea and it has 2 overnights in some fantastic ports like Florence and Venice. And you could even say you're visiting about 50% of Italy on this fantastic 11-night voyage. Now, this next one I want to share with you is by no means a country. As we know, the Caribbean is not a country. Although many of us might argue that you've seen one island, you've seen them all. I would have to disagree, but some of you go that route. But these are 3 itineraries that are round trip Miami, and I wanted to highlight them to you because these are region specific. But what I love about them is that they are really a great way for you to try Azamara without having to buy an airline ticket. Right? It's a lot easier to either fly down to Miami or drive down to Miami, hop on the vessel, and get away for Christmas or get away for Thanksgiving. Or if you have time, why not get away in between? December 10th is in between, and do something really special and visit some of these very unique destinations in the Caribbean. So now let's talk about the boutique hotel at sea. These are 4 identical vessels that carry 700 passengers at max capacity and have 408 crew members to serve your needs while you're on board with us. This fantastic team of individuals that you see here is our leadership team, our team of officers. If you've sailed with us before, you know who these people are by name. If you've not sailed with us before and you do sail with us, you will know them before the end of your cruise because they're there at the gangway when you step ashore. They're there at the gangway when you come back on, and they welcome you home. And their mission is to make you feel like you belong and like Azamara is your home away from home. On board, we include so much in our pricing already, so much that I actually have 2 slides of inclusions. So our goal on Azamara is to make you feel like you belong. So you don't have to take out your room key because you want a cappuccino after dinner. You don't have to take your room key because you have to pay for this or pay for that. You don't have to worry about hitting the ATM to get cash to pay for the gratuities. All of these things have been built into the price. So what's not included with Azamara? Today, we don't include airfare in our pricing, we don't include internet in our pricing, and we don't include shore excursions. That's not to say that we can't help you with those. We have them to offer. They're just not built into the price that's quoted by the team at LCC when they quote a price with us directly. Now, I will mention that LCC does have a fantastic collection of packaged itineraries that do build in a few of these items. So make sure you talk to your favorite advisor for them to present to you some of those itineraries that have air, hotel, and even some tours built into the price. So these images, in my opinion, solidify exactly what I was saying about us being a land vacation company that uses floating hotels. We removed the casino from our ships and put a new space called the den. Now, if you're a cruiser, and I mean that with all respect because my mother is a cruiser, you think we're crazy that we took out the casino. But with 80% of the time spent in port, those casinos were closed. There was no need to gamble, or you couldn't gamble because the casinos were closed. So we transformed the space into the den on deck 5, midship, and this has really become a guest favorite on board. Some of my favorite accommodations is this one here. This is our club spa suite. My favorite feature of this suite is that glass enclosed hot tub that sits out on the veranda. Our club continent suite, very well appointed, 265 square feet plus an additional 60 square feet outside. We have a collection, half of these have a tub, shower combination like you see there, or the other half actually have a walk-in shower. And then our standard accommodation is our veranda, 170 square feet inside with 40 square feet outside, in addition to the 170 inside. And we also do have insides and ocean view accommodations. But my preference, if you do choose to travel with us, is travel at minimum in one of our veranda staterooms. So now let's talk about the offers. Our promotion in existence right now is our buy one, get the second guest 60% off. I'll do the math for you. Don't panic or get into a fight with your traveling companion as to who's going to be guest number 2. It's 30% off each guest. So don't worry, you both are going to save money. This promotion is going to cover most departures August 28th of this year. I know that says July 10th, but August 28th of this year through the end of November of 2022. And this promotion will run till the end of June. Now, if you are one of our guests that have to travel solo or enjoy traveling solo, we have also enhanced our collection of single supplement voyages. So what does that mean? That means that on a handful of our voyages departing through March of next year, we have a reduced single supplement of 25% extra. So that means only paying 125 instead of paying 200%. And I know Carlos mentioned this earlier, so I'm so glad he mentioned it, but for the next 2 weeks, any voyage you book with Azamara, including the new ones that open on Friday for the Quest round trip Athens, will be a part of this promotion. Luxury Cruise Connection and only Luxury Cruise Connection will be offering a $300 onboard credit for an ocean view, a $400 onboard credit for a veranda, or a $500 onboard credit for the suite. And this is just truly as a thank you, but also to show the strength in the partnership between Azamara and Luxury Cruise Connection. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for your time, and I'm yours to answer any questions that you all may have.
Well, Lionel, thank you very, very much for that very condensed presentation. I think we got a very good idea of what Azamara stands for, what Azamara is all about. But most importantly, we got a very good idea of what to expect as Azamara returns to the water. I think the explanation that you gave about the future of Azamara as an independent company from the Royal Caribbean Group, I think it's great, very accurate. I have to say, from the travel agency perspective, that operationally speaking, we haven't felt a difference, right? And in fact, if anything, we've seen Azamara kind of get this sense of you know, kind of grown-up teenager, right? With new you know, new pockets, right? Just found itself kind of being the star of you know, of this new company, as opposed to being that, you know, that little child that nobody was paying attention to, right?
Right.
I think that Azamara accomplished incredible things on the Royal Caribbean brand, and I know both you and the company have a lot to thank Royal Caribbean for. But I think that now, as an independent entity, you guys are going to have an opportunity to really grow. And I think that the best thing that you guys did was to really prove that by releasing the announcement of this new acquired, you know, this new acquired ship just a few weeks after you guys announced the separation. And so that really gave at least all of us and many clients, many guests, that extra added confidence that, you know, that Sycamore was really, you know, purchasing Azamara as a brand to grow it, to enhance it, and gave us that sense of relief that Azamara as a brand was not going to change in terms of what you stand for, right? You're a destination-oriented brand that is just looking to deliver impeccable service and just making guests happy. And I'm very glad to continue to grow and happy to continue to grow this relationship, because, you know, I think we're just getting started here. And I have a lot of really good questions going on here. Many, you know, some of them you might have already covered during your presentation, but I'm still gonna read them and kind of reinforce on them so that, you know, so that we, you know, make sure that we don't forget anything, okay? And then as I speak, Denise is gonna send some polls, okay? We wanna know where you're from. We wanna know, you know, how soon are you guys looking to cruise again, whether or not you've cruised with Azamara before. So if I'm speaking or reading one of these questions and you get one of those pop-ups on your screen, just like this one, for example, just go ahead and answer at your leisure, and then we'll get the answers. And so you know, we'll share them with you. So for example, this question that we just launched, have you sailed with Azamara before? Interestingly enough, we have, as of right now, 76% of you voted, and we have 38% of you have sailed with Azamara, 46% of you or 45% of you have not, 15% of you want to. So that's really good. It's really good. I'm happy to see this, and you know, hopefully we're gonna get more of you to want to cruise with Azamara. So Scott, I believe we already answered your question. And then Joanne was asking from the beginning, you know, she's already booked. Is she entitled to the OVC promotion that we have going on? You know, I have to say, Joanne, you know, this promotion, this incentive that Azamara is putting together for us is specifically for new bookings. Okay, but we are in the business of making people happy. So please let us know what you have going on, or get with one, you know, with one of our advisors. I'm pretty sure that one of them either already reached out to you, and if not, somebody will within the next few seconds. Right, Denise, I'm gonna make sure that's the case, and we'll take care of you. We'll figure something out for you. Okay, I want to make sure you're happy. William is asking, can people under 18 still sail?
Yes, people under 18 can still travel with Azamara. They just do not need to have a proof of vaccination, but they still will need the required negative result of their COVID test. But yes, they can still travel.
And then I have a private question here that was sent to me. I wanna you know, I wanna kind of share a little bit of my thoughts. She's asking me, you know, based on my industry experience, you know, when do I think the CDC will relax the COVID-19 restrictions for no masks when laying on the sun decks, while keeping your social distances and no mask in dining rooms once you're seated at your table? You know, to be fair, at this point, right, the CDC has already relaxed many of these rules, especially when you're, you know, obviously sitting down for dinner and outdoor spaces, right? So the expectation, correct me if I'm wrong, Lionel, but when it comes to an Azamara experience, when you're at the pool and you're just sitting in your sun, you know, and you know, just laying, you know, getting some sun, you'll be able to be there with no mask, of course. I guess if you get up and go somewhere, and you might be required to mask. Is that correct?
So as it stands, from the last I read of one of the things that we published, they will not be required when you're in the water, and they will still be required outside if physical distancing isn't possible. So what we're trying to do is set up all the chairs where physical distancing is the only solution. But as you know, when you're sailing into a port, sometimes there's congregations of people that meet or get to a certain place. So at that point, a mask is required. But you know, Carlos, we talked about this earlier. You mentioned this earlier. This is one of those that I do think will be relaxed before this cruise goes, because it's already come out that shoreside, if you are vaccinated and the people sitting with you are vaccinated, that you don't have to wear a mask. So why would it make a difference on a ship? If everyone is vaccinated, that should be a moot point. So this is something that's being discussed. CEOs of other brands have brought this up on national TV and interviews. So it's just timing. But that's why I mentioned the cruise with confidence, because if we come up to August and the protocols don't meet the kind of vacation you were expecting, you can still cancel.
Right.
You're not losing the money.
And yeah, and I wanna add to that a little bit. You know, what's interesting about all of this is that the CDC has been really delaying and giving the cruise line industry a lot of trouble to be able to sell from the United States, when in reality, what's been proven is that the cruise lines have been even more cautious and careful about their protocols and what they even have on land, right? And so that's very good to see and very interesting to see. But you're right. You know, in my opinion, I think that what we're going to see within the next several weeks is, as more and more science and more data is available to us, and as the CDC continues to relax guidance, because the low, you know, the caseloads are going down more and more. I think that you know, we're going to see a lot more of this changing. And I think one of the first things that is going to change is going to be the guidance of the private shore excursions. I'm going to address that in a second. But I want to use the opportunity of what Lionel just said about the Cruise with Confidence program, where you're actually able, like Lionel was saying, to have your booking and still wait till literally last minute to decide whether or not the experience is what you would have expected. And then if not, then you can change it. But at that point, you at least had the option to choose, right? Like that's what I like to tell all my guests. Just you're buying yourself the option of a choice, right? Because otherwise you're just not going to have that. Because I'm not saying this to just get you guys crazed up booking cruises, but availability is running out. I mean, the truth is the pent-up demand is real. Prices are already 10 to 20%, in some cases 50% more expensive than what they were last year. And the reason why this is happening, and I mean, I live in Miami, right? Miami obviously has pent-up demand from the entire country, right? Everybody's coming down. Traffic is crazy. The malls are crazy. The restaurants are packed. It's crazy what's happening, right? And we're feeling it because our phones haven't stopped ringing. We've expanded our team, right? We grew our team by almost 50%. I mean, what we're feeling in terms of the pent-up demand is real. And so I really am not saying this to just get you all crazy in booking, but give yourself the opportunity to choose. That's all that we're saying, because you have so much flexibility that what you don't want is just continue to wait, and then availability is not there, or prices are much higher, and then you just don't have the choice. And so that's again, to go into the subject of private shore excursions. At this point, there is guidance that and remember, Lionel, representing the Azamara brand, he can only say what's official, right? I, from being the agency partner, I can be a little bit more opinionated, right? And I can easily say, I mean, I really believe that that's one of the things that are going to get relaxed very soon, because just makes sense, right? Countries are basically the first ones that were scared about, okay, all these people are going to get off the ship. How do I make sure that these people are, safe to my country, right? But when you go to Italy, or when you go to Greece, or where you go to Spain and tell them, hey, everybody in this ship is vaccinated, or a majority of these people are vaccinated because under 18 or not. And although, by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get to July or August, since Pfizer now is approved for 12 and over, that some of this guidance might also change, and Royal Caribbean might require 12 and over to now be vaccinated. In any case, so now these countries are going to feel a lot more comfortable about letting all these people in because they're all vaccinated, right? And so, will these countries require the ships to now have this sort of controlled shore excursions? I don't think so. Will guests be concerned about people on their own? I don't think so. So we'll see what happens, but that's stay tuned for more news on that.
I have a couple of questions for Lionel. Hey Lionel, how you doing?
Great, Steve. Thanks.
Okay. A couple of questions from some guests. One, As Amazing Evenings, after post-pandemic, what's the story on that? And B, will everyone have to go on an excursion, or will they be able to go to the ports themselves? I guess it depends on the ports, right?
All right, so I'll answer both of them. So the As Amazing Evenings will still remain scheduled. They just will be a little different. For the immediate time being, these events will be taking place on board. So it's going to still be essentially a very magical night on board with local entertainment, and it will be a night to remember, but it will be taking place on board. And that's the current, if we were to start cruising tomorrow, that's how it would be. And that's what we currently have planned for the first voyage, August 28th. And then the next question, Steve, was about the shore excursions. At this point, shore excursions are still required to be booked through the cruise line. It could change, but that's what the current requirement is.
And okay, so here's the next one. William wants to know, will the Greece voyages be at a reduced capacity?
Yes, actually, all those will be a reduced capacity. We haven't published a specific percentage, but they will be at a reduced capacity.
The next question is from Percival. Percival, do me a favor. I don't have context on your question. You're asking, will this affect the Canadian cruiser? Give me a little bit of context if you may, so that I can then address your question real quick. Kenny Moskowitz, I was canceled 2020 summer with FCC rolled into 2021, into summer 2021. That was canceled. Now wish to do it summer 2023, as 2022 is no good for us.
Carlos, I think your team is working on these. The issue that is still pressing Kenny is that we're not published through the end of 23 yet. And so there is a little bit of but this is a specific issue to Kenny and his FCCs and his timing on when he could travel. So it's being addressed. What I do know is that summer 23 should be published sometime in June. So what we may need to do is just try to get an exception to the FCC, which I know that we might be able to do. So I know your team is working on it. I think I read here something like George was working on it. So George and I work almost, I feel like I work with him every day. So we'll be in touch.
All right. And Kenny, George is out of the office for the rest of the week. So if for whatever reason we gotta get into this, please let me know, let us know, and I can have Melanie, our concierge department, reach out to you, and we'll get that taken care of. Those very specific items we're gonna handle offline. But I guess the more general question in that regard is, so technically all FCCs cannot be used toward 2023 cruises unless there's a specific exception granted. Is that right, Lionel?
Right, correct.
Okay. So Kenny, we'll work on it for you. If we need something to get done before George is back, please let us know, and then Melanie will. In fact, I'm going to have Melanie reach out to you. Okay, Denise, can you help me with that? Melanie will reach out to you, so make sure we take care of you. Okay. Kathleen wants to know about your loyalty program.
There is a loyalty program. It's called the Azamara Circle, and you are automatically enrolled after your first voyage. Another way that you could be enrolled is if you've sailed with Royal Caribbean or Celebrity in the past. Even though we're no longer part of the family, since we're still on their booking platform, it's kind of awesome. You could grandfather your loyalty with Royal Caribbean or Celebrity toward Azamara simply by booking an Azamara vacation. Because once we are removed from the Azamara system, from the Royal Caribbean system, which will happen sometime next year, then that reciprocity of the program will no longer exist. So this is still in existence while we're in the system. It's a little bit of a loophole. I thought it was going to end once the closing documents were signed, but actually it's still in place. So if you've sailed with Royal Caribbean and you're platinum or higher, or you've been on just one cruise or more with Celebrity, you already have a number with Azamara. And or the other way is just to go on your first Azamara cruise. But one of the coolest benefits of our program is that when you achieve the next status, you actually earn free cruise nights. So that is really one of the greatest benefits of our loyalty program, Kathleen. So I hope we could have you try us.
Fern is asking us or commenting that he loves he has 4 reservations with Azamara now, and obviously he's a little disappointed at the fact that there's not enough sea days. Fern, I want to say something real quick on that. Although Azamara is particularly famous by their time on port, there are certain itineraries and on certain ships that have more sea days, right? So obviously when you're doing some country intensive, the idea behind those itineraries is to make him truly country intensive. And so you're not going to see a lot of days at sea, but some of the other ships and some of the other itineraries might have some of that. And of course, there's a lot of activities on board as well. So don't be disappointed if you have those Azamara reservations booked. I'm sure that you're going to have you've booked ones that have enough sea days or enough time on board ship that you might enjoy, and I'm sure you're going to have an amazing time. So hopefully that's the case. What will happen with White Nights? So I think that's. Why don't you take that one, Lionel?
Sure. So the White Night, for those of you who are not familiar, White Night is when one of the evenings on a voyage we dedicate to a celebration of food, culture, and entertainment on board the vessel. We typically would end up doing a full out dinner on the pool deck. It's like a big pool party. We invite our guests to come dressed in white, and then our officers and crew prepare you a meal under the stars poolside. So that is our white night party. That will still remain, but what I've learned is that in the first few voyages, unless the policies change or the protocols change, we're going to transform the white night into different stages. So there's going to be 4 different venues throughout the ship delivering the white night experience to allow for the physical distancing. Because again, even though our guests are 100% immunized, we still want to make for a very comfortable and safe environment on board. And the way to best do that is to deliver that experience. So there's going to be different stations throughout the white night experience where you will go from station to station, maintaining that physical distancing and still getting to experience what is so unique and special about our white night.
Okay, great. And so William is sharing with us that he has not sailed with Azamara so far, but he's greatly enjoyed our ships on Princess. I'm going to say something, William. I think Azamara is relying a lot on the fact that a lot of people really like those R-class ships. All right, you agree, Lionel?
Yes.
Those are
Yes.
classics, intimate ships, but Azamara has done an incredible job at renovating them and making them look very, very pretty, very modern looking, while at the same time keeping that traditional, right? And that soul of those R-class ships with our, very, very, very unique in this industry. Lisa is asking on behalf of one of her clients, will Azamara be back with a double upgrade promotion for 2022 voyages?
So Lisa, great question. I'm glad that your clients asked. We will have the double upgrade promotion again. It typically runs in the fall. So sometime in either August or September is when we'll run the double upgrade. It's almost always, at least in October, we do have that promotion. So just look for it then. But I do want to caution your clients and anyone listening. I'm going to be upfront and honest and tell you that we want to make for each room what we want to make for that room. So today we call it BOGO 60 and we're saving you 30% each, but tomorrow we're doing double upgrade. Well, guess what? That veranda is still going to cost the same. All we did was raise the price of the inside room, but we're still going to get the same price that we wanted for the balcony. So if you're looking really for the best price, buy when you're ready. That's just the God honest truth. Because at the end of the day, the price per day per guest has to remain the same. So if you really want to wait for double up, go for it. But I'm just going to be upfront and tell you that I think you're going to find that the rate today for that balcony will probably be the same, if not more, if you wait till the fall for 22. Because between now and the fall, remember, people have been suspended in 20, people were suspended in 21, and they have to choose a trip before the end of 22. So keep that in mind.
I think I'll add to that a little bit, and my thoughts on that is, the double upgrade promotion was very successful when those ships weren't, first of all, when you're not going to be selling at 100% capacity, and so you have some of those verandas available, right? And when when there was that lack of demand at some point during the pandemic, where people weren't just booking a lot of that, and so there was, first of all, you're at 60% capacity, and so the cruise line is preferring for that 60% capacity to be in the verandas and above, because you have all that extra space. The double upgrade promotion really only benefited those that otherwise would have gone on an interior cabin or maybe an ocean view. But those that were going on a veranda and what would have always gone on veranda or on suites, the price is basically the same. So I don't know, Lionel, if you've heard anything different, but I don't think there's any reason for Azamara to, again, try to get people off interiors and ocean views, because you're going to go back to 100% capacity. And so that's not necessarily going to make sense. You're probably going to keep a 60% off or 40% off or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you want people to book those interiors and ocean views.
We do, but to be fair, Carlos, this is going back to the same thing. Sometimes the right promotion or the wording that's used in the promotion is everything, right? Marketing is really the science of speaking the language of your consumer to make them purchase. So at the end of the day, clients might want to wait for that double upgrade because it sounds like the biggest and richest offer. But in reality, I'm here to tell you that if you're looking to travel on a balcony, it's going to be the same price today as it may be in September, or it may even be higher because there'll be less balconies to choose from. So yes, we'll still run it, but there's going to be less options.
And if you have doubts, then when promotions apply and then prices go down, many of them are applicable to existing bookings. And so if anything, you can adjust your pricing.
That's it. That was the other thing. We honor the lowest rate up until final payment. And right now, because of Cruise with Confidence, we honor the lowest rate up to 48 hours prior to the cruise. There's no risk. So
Right.
if you don't believe me,
yeah, just
test me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Bob is asking us, or our commenting, Florida governor said no cruise can require vaccinations. Will you still cruise out of Florida December 10th out of Miami? Bob, we can get more clarification on that, but there's no such thing as Florida governor or saying that cruises cannot require vaccinations. I think he has commented on vaccination passports. So there's more to come on that. There's no straight answer, I guess, yet on that, right, Lionel?
Yeah, correct. As of now, we're scheduled to travel November 26th with the first voyage from Miami, and that's the goal. But if it needs to change, it'll change. But there's no sense. Listen, this environment, one thing we've learned is that everything changes. Today it's one real strict rule, and tomorrow it's a completely different one. And it's so crazy how just from one second to the next, it can all be okay. Come on. So at the end of the day, we just got to wait. There's no sense for a million-dollar company, multi-million-dollar company to stop cruising out of Miami because something that the governor said a week ago, because the same thing he said a week ago, he can change in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're still scheduled to travel. Again, like I mentioned, Cruise with Confidence applies. So if it's not what you like, get your credit, no problem. And if it fits what you're looking for, then I hope you have a fantastic trip. So that's my take. But it's a great review, Bob. But it's still too soon to make any
any decisions on that.
changes.
Judith
I did. Sorry, Carlos. I did have a question that came up from Teresa. She sent it to me directly. It said, Cruise with Confidence is a great feature. Please clarify that if safety protocols are not relaxed, do we receive a voucher for the exact cruise at a later date, not just a credit? So Teresa, to your point, Cruise with Confidence does not guarantee the exact cruise at a later date. It guarantees a voucher. So if for whatever reason you choose to cancel prior to the cruise, you can enact Cruise with Confidence, which will secure you 100% of what you paid in the form of a future cruise voucher, but not as a future cruise a year later. It's a future cruise voucher for 100% of what you paid.
Good. Okay. And okay. So Judith was asking, how will Azamara determine maximum capacity for each cruise?
So we know that it's going to be reduced. I can't tell you the exact number, but we do have a team of analysts. We call those guys the bean counters. No offense to any of you who may have been bean counters or are bean counters out there listening, but it's their job to see the load factors on each voyage and adjust inventory. So if inventory is available to be purchased, it's available to be purchased. There's no sense for you to worry about, is it going to be full or is it not? If we get to a point where we're sold out, it's going to be sold out at that reduced capacity because we don't want to be in a position where we're not compliant. But as you've read, there is actually no stipulations from the CDC on what the max capacity of a vessel can be. It's just that physical distancing needs to be enacted and that the public spaces are in the percentage of 50% or less. So yes, we've made we're making the necessary floor plan changes. As you can imagine, a lot of our furniture is screwed into the floor. So we're making the necessary floor plan changes to allow for that 50% reduced capacity in all of our public spaces. But the ship capacity will be at a reduced number. I can't tell you that it's going to be 50% because we haven't published that that's the number. All I can say is that we will be at a reduced capacity.
Okay. And John wants to ask, will FCC be able to be extended if need be? I guess that's gonna.
It's a case by case. The Azamara answer is no. But if you need it extended, reach out to your travel professional. Hopefully it's one of the team at LCC, and they'll reach out to me and we'll see what we can do.
And Sue's asking me on a direct message. They were scheduled for an Iceland intensive itinerary, which is beautiful. We want to cruise this summer. What is available to us? Only Greece. Lionel, hopefully, if you can give us a little bit of a hint here. I know that Greece is what's been announced, but should we expect any other announcements maybe out of Iceland? Maybe. No, you don't think so? So it's going to be Greece for the summer. You think that's going to be it?
That's it. That's our restart. The quest will resume August 28th. Believe it or not, guess what? It's starting from Athens. The journey, October 13th, guess where it's starting? Athens. And the pursuit, September 28th, will resume service. Wild guess. Athens. So, and those were actually the 13th on the journey, and the pursuit 28th were still regularly scheduled itineraries. So these were the original itineraries that those ships were going to do on those dates. And so they are still the scheduled itineraries. So I don't know of anything else, but Carlos, I mean, anything can change, but I don't even have a hint that there's something else in the works. This is really what we have scheduled for 21 is the 6 new voyages on the quest starting August 28th. And then the resumption of what we already had scheduled on the journey, October 13th, and the pursuit, September 28th.
Okay. So I guess your Iceland intensive itineraries are going to come back in 2022.
Will be for 22, correct?
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have a question from William about what Florida said about vaccinations, which is now state law, has said is no private company can require vaccination in order to do business. Many do not believe that can be applied to cruise ships since they are under federal rules. William, I guess to answer your question, just like Lionel was saying, right? This is something that is it's applicable today, but it might not be applicable next week. And yes, I wouldn't be worried about that. Trust me when I tell you this, cruise lines have figured this out. And if they're requiring vaccination, it's because they can. They're not going to go out to CNBC and the media and everybody saying we're requiring vaccination if they don't think that's something they can do. So don't worry about that. I'm sure they're going to figure all of that out, as much as they are going to figure out how to sell from Florida by July, August, or as much as they're going to figure out how, as much as they're going to figure out exactly how to maybe do even Alaska, right? For those that are wondering what's happening with Alaska. So let's see. I'm gonna open up the mics. We have about 8 more minutes left with Lionel, and then he's gonna have to, has another previously scheduled event. So anybody has any questions, please unmute yourself right now and let us know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know. I mean, we just sent out a poll here asking, are you interested in sailing this year? 58% of you said yes, and 42% said no. That's kind of what we are seeing. We're seeing a lot of people that are just waiting to be able to get on the next ship. And then some people are just, waiting it out a little bit more until they can, until next year, which is absolutely fine. It's totally understandable. And so the good news is cruise lines, including Azamara, I mean, you're seeing Azamara open up. You're going to be opening up 2023 much sooner than every other year, right? I mean, you usually open that following year, much later in the year, maybe towards September or so. So the good news is we have that happening. We have cruise lines, and Azamara is starting to open up farther out so that you can start planning, and hopefully you can, get your cruises all squared away for the future. So I want to hear from you, John. I see that you unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, just a quick question. I understand, booking the shore excursions through Azamara definitely is something that would be fine. But since most of the shore excursions are in the morning and you're going to be in port for a good part of the day, how do we know that it's going to be safe to go into the city? I mean, wearing masks, are we going to be allowed to go into the city centers or not?
So it's my understanding of how I understand the protocol is that you will not be able to go into the city unless you're on a shore excursion with the cruise line. So you would have to be, the only way you're off the ship is if you're on a ship sponsored shore excursion.
A shore excursion. So most of the shore excursions are in the morning and early.
Well, that's an assumption. Because we are a late night cruise brand, our mission is, unless we have an amazing evening or a white night, is to have a nighttime shore excursion offered for our guests as well on those nights that we're in port, that we don't have an amazing evening or a white night. So that is, again, how it stands today.
Yeah, I realize that.
And I really do think, and internally, I've been messaging with a few of you on here. Listen, I'm an open book. I don't, if I know something or I'm leaning towards something, you're going to tell, because I wear everything on my sleeve. We all believe that that's going to change, but it may not until maybe next year. But we believe it's going to change, because it makes no sense if everyone's immunized. What's the big deal? And if science is proving the immunization to be as great as it is, there shouldn't be an issue.
But it's obvious we have guarantees as far as the fellow passengers to be vaccinated and all the crew to be vaccinated, and going on the shore excursions, everything would be within a protocol. So the fact, to try to go into want to go into the city centers and kind of go into, let's just say, shops or something like that. Would there be any way that let's say a little shuttle or something to go in with the cruise line to go into a couple of shops if people wanted to go shopping?
That doesn't seem to be on the plan right now.
Okay.
It is something that we do offer normally,
Mhm.
but in this post-COVID world, based on the current health and safety protocols, a ship-sponsored shore excursion, you could book a private shore excursion if you choose to do so with us. And that private shore excursion could be a private car and driver or a private bus for you and your party to go and explore the town at whatever time it is that you want to do that. You could schedule that. And just to make you feel a little bit better about that, Joan, if we change our protocols between now and then, you have up to 48 hours prior to the day of the tour to cancel your shore excursion and receive a full refund. So if we remove that obligation of booking or requirement of booking a ship-sponsored shore excursion prior to your trip, you will have enough time to cancel your shore excursion and book something on your own through a third party, or just step ashore on your own as well, if that is where the change ends up going. But today, it has to be a ship-sponsored shore excursion.
Oh no, I understand that. I would never do anything other than that.
Yeah.
That's something that's important to be able to know that you're going safely.
Yeah.
So so there are. I'm glad, Joan, and I do think it's that's the plan. It's just to keep the integrity of the health and safety of the ship, the crew, and the guests. That's the main priority, and then to make everyone also feel safe, safe as we can. But You can't do what you're hoping to do, but
Yeah.
you would have to book it through us. So
Right.
it's obviously, you know, there's other factors that factor into that, but you can do it. Carlos, I did get a question from Kathleen regarding her elite status with celebrity, and Kathleen, you said you have sailed with Azamara. Since you have sailed with us, your loyalty is automatically protected, that you don't have to sail with us again to retain it. I mentioned the opportunity that if you've never sailed with us and don't have loyalty with us, that you can lock in your loyalty for the life of your number and your membership by choosing a trip with us prior to us leaving the Royal Caribbean platform. But we don't plan on leaving the platform until sometime next year. There will be enough notices on that. So don't feel bad. But if you've already cruised with us before, then your status is intact. It's not changing.
I do hope you can address this one last question
Okay.
before you have to go. What about, since the United States is requiring negative COVID tests before getting on a plane to return to the United States, will Azamara will be able to provide the test to passengers near the end of the cruise?
So the answer to that is that it's still being worked on. I don't have an official answer for that. The official answer, if you read our FAQs, is that we're still looking into this. So what I do know is that there are tests available for our guests and crew as needed throughout the voyage. So it's not to say that we can't have it. The issue that we're trying to figure out is what kind of test is required. I think right now it has to be it's a PCR, or maybe it doesn't have to be.
Antigen.
Is it
Yeah.
antigen? So we prefer the antigen test because we could do more of those faster and the results are quicker. But anyway, so that is that's still to be determined. But I do think we will be doing it, but I don't want to tell you that is what we're doing because I haven't been told that.
I'll say this. Through a conversation that we had with celebrity last week or a couple weeks ago, they were saying that they would. So I would imagine that you guys are as well. Again, if you haven't officially said this, I can tell everybody that you don't have to worry about that, because if at the time of your cruise, you're going to be required to do that, Azamara will provide the logistics necessary for you to be able to get that done. I can almost promise you that's going to be the case. I mean, I know that Azamara is not going to.
Can't foresee us